Welcome, everybody, to Seattle Sports Union's podcast. My name is Abraham DeWeese, and with me is, once again, Brian, the Soulman, Solack. How you doing, Brian?
I'm good. Just trying to wake up. How are you?
Yeah, we are trying to wake up. It's early on a Saturday morning in lovely Factoria, Washington, where the Seattle Sports Union is checking out Seattle University's baseball team. You're saying, what? Wait a minute. It's October. Seattle U baseball? Brian, why are we here? Why are we watching Seattle U baseball
because
in October?
This is pretty much, they're setting themselves up for the season. This is their fall practice. They're trying to figure out who's going to be on their roster this year. And apparently it's a big deal every year, but I learned something new. I didn't realize how many players try out for this. There's probably, what do you think, maybe 40 players here?
Well, yeah, I earlier counted 31, but now I'm noticing a whole bunch more in the dugout. So you're right, there probably are about 40. Now, the team they're scrimmaging against looks like they only have about 25, maybe 30 max.
Correct.
So for Seattle U, this would be, you said tryouts. Is there a JV team? I wonder if that's...
I always wondered that in college, but I don't think there is. I just think they're just trying to establish their roster and see who's going to fit what season opens up in February of 2020.
Great. Well, we'll get right back to Seattle U baseball in a moment. Right now, it's football season, and I want to talk about the game that everybody else is talking about, the one on Thursday night against the Los Angeles Rams here in Seattle. That game was monumental, and I don't know, Brian Solack, at our age, can our hearts take those kind of moments?
That was the reaction we had at work yesterday. We were all talking about that. We still can't believe what happened. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack, like you were saying during that game. Great game, don't get me wrong, but it shouldn't have been as close as what happened, in my opinion, anyway.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about the play of the year. At least I'm calling it the play of the year in the NFL, and that is that touchdown pass from Russell Wilson to the corner of the end zone to Tyler Lockett. How do you rate that play? And was that pure dumb luck, or was that skill?
I want to say pure dumb luck, but then again, it's Russell Wilson, so I guess it's skill. I don't know. It looked like to me on the when that first happened, it looked like he was just throwing the ball away in the end zone, and all of a sudden, Lockett comes out of nowhere and makes the hell of a catch. Like you said, probably the play of the year. And how he got his both feet in bounds.
Both toes touched. And I don't think there was that much separation from the defensive back, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely no. Wilson just fit the ball right in that little spot there. And it was like I've said before, Wilson's got God on his side. He's just making play after play.
So, man, how about all this press that Russell Wilson has been getting? Everywhere I look on ESPN and other news outlets, there is a lot of press about him being vastly underrated and finally getting his due. Is that just me noticing it a bit more, or is that hype real?
I think the hype is real, but then again, I think it's us noticing it more too. I don't know. I mean, the guy took us to 2 Super Bowls and won one earlier in his career, and he's broken already lots of records for Seattle in general, and he's probably one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time right now, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
definitely. If you take a look at passer rating all time, he is actually number 2 all time in passer rating next to Aaron Rodgers.
That's amazing.
This
I didn't know that.
This year he's at 117, I believe, which is number 2 to Patrick Mahomes, who's at 120. So it's definitely been a good year for him. What do you think about the attention that he's getting just as a whole? I personally, I'm a little bit annoyed that he hasn't received it earlier. And then again, there's this other half of me that thinks, you know what? Let's not hyperinflate this. This was one game, Game 5. We still have 11 more games to go.
Oh, excellent points on both parts. He's just getting... I guess what I'm trying to say is our team this year, the wide receivers going into it this year, and what he has done on the field and his stats right now. I mean, he's getting the hype that is due, like you said, but... maybe they're making a little bit bigger deal out of it. It is only Game 5 of the year.
Yeah, I'd rather see this hype after 12-4 season or something to that effect. 13-3.
Exactly. And then I think you mentioned me before. They're still running the ball a lot, but we've been having to come back a lot in the games this year too. And I mean, yes, he's making some incredible plays, and his stats are what 18 out of 22 every freaking game this year, and that's incredible alone with the wide receivers that we have. But
Oh, most definitely. Speaking of that running games, so Russell Wilson was amazing, 260 some odd yards, but he only, like you said, threw for 23, 24 pass attempts. No, less than that, 22 pass attempts, 17 completions. They ran the ball 40 times, though. This is not a team that's going to ever change as long as Pete Carroll's coach, right?
No, absolutely not. And I was glad to see how effective they've been, especially the last couple of weeks running the ball. This is who we are, and we need to continue to stick with that game plan. I just hate that we have to keep coming back in the fourth quarter, like you said. I mean, Russell Wilson's his stats are great, but we shouldn't be having to come back like we've been doing.
Well, maybe part of that is a lesser talented team. This might not be a Seahawks team that 1 through 53 was as good as the Rams. It's just their number one player, Russell Wilson, is far better than any other player on the field.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look at those jerseys. That's a what do you call that? Baby puke green. That was not good.
I was gonna say puke, and then baby puke green. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Oregon Ducks. How awful those jerseys are.
Yeah, in my head, I was thinking that's a jersey only a mother or Matthew Page could love.
What are they thinking when they put these things on? They're awful.
There's somebody buying these jerseys, and it's usually a deranged human being. So again, Matthew Page, who would buy this, and I saw sprinkles of it in the audience when they did the piano shots.
Oh, okay.
So somebody's buying them. Wow. Somebody wants them. I don't want it.
I hope they put that jersey to bed, but
I hope they give it to some construction crews so that they can make sure they don't get hit at night when they're working on the road.
A great idea. My tow truck drivers could use that out there on the road.
Seattle Seahawks pass defense gave up 400 yards in the air. Well, it was 398, but you know what I mean.
Close enough.
Close enough. And that was 400 yards against Andy Dalton earlier this season. What are your thoughts on this pass defense?
We're getting up a lot of yards, but I think we're still a pretty good young team. I personally, I think we're not getting pass rush to where their other team's quarterback has time to sit back there and pick apart our defense. It is what it is. It doesn't mean that we're a bad defense.
So I didn't see particularly effective play from Bradley McDougald or Tedrick Thompson. Tedrick Thompson did get that big interception. We'll get to that in a moment. But what I want to say is they gave up a lot of yards. But what you're telling me and the audience out there is don't look at the yards. Look at the result.
Exactly. Look at the results. I mean, we're 4-1 in the season. Yeah, we've given up a lot of yards, but we're winning is where it counts. And I think if we had a better pass rush, those yards would definitely go down.
So I talked about Tyler Lockett and having the play of the season. Tedrick Thompson might have had the defensive play of the Seahawks season.
Oh, my gosh.
With an interception.
I know this is a podcast, but if we could show videos of that right now.
It looked like a bear on a ball juggling bowling pins if that bear were flat on his stomach and not on a ball.
I never thought about that way, but yeah.
So it bears to mind that was a fantastic play, but there were probably two other interceptions that didn't happen that should have. Bradley McDougald had his mitts on one,
oh,
and
right.
Jamar Taylor just fingertips away from intercepting another. So maybe if those start connecting, you might take a look at a defense that turns the corner.
That, and I'll still say the pass rush too. If we can get more pressure on that quarterback.
Yeah, what did you see from that pass rush? I didn't see enough pass rush myself either.
No, I didn't. I mean, Ziggy Ansah, we saw him play a little bit more this week, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, he had a couple good rushes, but overall, they're still double teaming the guy we got from Houston, Clowney.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, and you'd think somebody else could step up their game, and I haven't seen that happen yet.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's funny though. You see it in flashes, but I don't see it any kind of consistency in it.
No.
Yeah.
It's always been a problem over the years. I know we're talking about this season, but over the years, our pass rushes goes up and down.
Yeah, you'd like to see. Honestly, what I'd like to see it is on third down. Just that's your money down. Get it then. I understand you can't get a sack every down, but like, can we at least get some in your face action?
Absolutely.
When it counts.
Absolutely. And I know you didn't ask this, but I like how we're stopping the run this year. I think we're doing a good job against the run this year.
Yeah, and that seems to be part of the plan is give up. It's fine to give up the passing yards as long as they buckle down and don't, make the team one-dimensional, basically.
Exactly.
They took away Joe Mixon from the Bengals, probably their best offensive player. They took away Todd Gurley.
Gurley didn't. Yeah, he bit 50 yards, but they were ineffective. 50 yards.
And against the Steelers, they took away James Conner.
Yeah.
The only one they didn't do it to was Alvin Kamara.
Kamara, yeah, he did tear us apart there, but
so
that's why we lost.
Yeah, that might be the difference in this team. That might be the strategy: is throw on us all you want, but we're not going to give up. We're not going to give up those 3rd and 2s.
Exactly,
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
All right, great. One more question about the Seahawks: Are they in a good position coming up on this season?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to be 4-1. I figured they'd be 2-3 when I looked at the schedule to start the year.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I counted the Saints and the Rams as certain losses, so I had maybe 3 and 2. But yeah, they're ahead of where I expected them to be.
Definitely.
All right, let's talk about your favorite subject from the Palouse, those Washington State Cougars.
Oh my!
Hello, Coug fans. Are you listening? And hello,
go Coug.
Hello, Husky fans who love to listen to a Cougar in Brian Soulman Solack. Suffer as I ask these following questions.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, this week the defensive coordinator Tracy, I can't pronounce his last name, Clayus.
Close enough.
Okay.
He doesn't deserve credit. So.
He retires. Are you shocked?
I'm not shocked, but I'm anxious to hear the full story behind it. I mean, everybody saw the collapse of our defense, how we gave up a record-breaking 50 points in a quarter and a half in our loss to UCLA, and how we've gone downhill ever since.
What exactly is a defensive coordinator supposed to do that would prevent that? Was he calling such outlandishly weird defensive play calls?
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of, but some of that should fall on Coach Leach too, because he's the head coach. He should have made changes, and he didn't. He let this team the defense go to shit. Pardon my language, but
well, and actually that's a good point, because I wanted to bring up Max Borghi. He was invisible in this Utah game. Your running back he had a big game against UCLA, but Mike Leach kind of stopped using him in the fourth quarter, at least in the run game. And then against Utah, he was invisible. You got this player that averages 8 yards per touch. What's going on these last 2 weeks that he isn't being featured when the game's on the line?
Maybe it's the play calling. I don't know. Max, you were right. Max was a little bit invisible, but when you look at his stats for the Utah game, he had about 120 combined total yards, and their total yards for the game were a little over 300. So he had almost a third of their total yards.
Oh well, then I guess he wasn't that invisible. I was just maybe looking more at the rush attempts then.
No, they need to use him more on the ground too. I mean, we opened up the game with 2 runs, which was shocking, but he produced a first down right away, and he probably averaged almost 8 yards on each of those first 2 carries. They get behind, and then they give up too fast on the run game. I mean, Max, like you said, he's averaging 8 yards a carry. He's got 6 or 7 touchdowns on the season. When he catches the ball in the backfield, he produces. They got we're not, obviously he's not gonna get the Heisman Trophy, but he could be a Heisman Trophy candidate down the road. Right.
So there is another name I'd like the folks out there to know. I know you Cougar fans know him, but I got a chance to see him with you at Pullman against New Mexico State, and that's a linebacker by the name of Jahad Woods. He has 47 tackles, and he's going to eclipse 100 easily. What are your thoughts on him as a talent?
I think he's a heck of a player. He's a little undersized, but obviously that doesn't matter nowadays, it seems like. The guy has a nose for the football, But and then again, he's probably the only person on that defense that has a nose for the football.
They need 10 more of him.
They need 10 more of him. I mean, yeah, I know he has a lot of tackles, but he has to pick up the slack for all the other lousy. I'm trying to be nice here, but terrible team that
is it? Okay, let's talk about this. Is it talent? Is it a talent issue, or is it a defensive coordinator issue? Because Leach seems to be going the defensive coordinator issue because he got rid of Tracy.
Yeah, good. Oh, that's a tough one, Abe.
Or could it be both?
It could be both. I mean, there's a lot of the same talent that's in the team this year, but I don't see no leadership on defense. They lost the safety Thompson, who I forget what he did, but he had to go in the supplemental draft this summer because of something he did at school. And they lost Peyton Pallure. Jalen Thompson, yeah, thank you.
Went to Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. Yep. And then Peyton Pallure, I know he's a 6-year senior last year, but the guy was a great leader on and off the field in that clubhouse. There's no leader on that defense. Jahad Woods is a stud, but I don't think he's the leader on that defense. There's no leadership at all. And so it's really hard to say. I mean, they got a lot of younger talent that they've acquired over the last couple of years in recruiting, but they haven't been given the chance to shine.
Do you think there's a reticence to put freshmen in?
I do. I really do.
Now, if one can easily say if these guys aren't getting it done, maybe the defensive coordinator that just retired, maybe he wasn't putting in the freshmen, and Leach said, "Look, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to get somebody else that will."
I think you're exactly right. I'm not just saying that. I think that's an excellent point. I think next game, when we play Arizona State next week, is going to be quite different. We'll see what happens there. Do
you know who takes over?
They have assistant. I don't know his name. I apologize. I should have, but it's like the assistant defensive coordinator who's right under Tracy.
Wait, so you don't know every defensive coach all the way down to the strength and conditioning guy?
No, I don't. Forgive me. I'm sorry. That makes me a bad coog. I know.
We're still working on you pronouncing Gage Gabrud's name, the backup quarterback for Wazoo. So
there you go.
You'll have plenty of time to learn this new defensive coordinator's name.
But we'll see what happens. Leach should take over, even though he's got someone running that defense. He better run it the rest of the year.
So the Cougars have a -7 turnover margin. That's not good.
No, it's not.
Is the problem taking the ball away or giving it away?
Even though they fumbled a lot against UCLA, I think it's taking the ball away on defense. They don't know what the hell they're doing out there.
Gotcha. So is so it's not a matter of the bounces aren't going the right way. It's a matter of making big plays.
Correct. Gordon has had a couple bad passes that he threw away for picks this year, but in general, except for last week, he's had a hell of a year too. You can't deny that.
What do you think of this quote? We're a very soft team, We get a lot of good press. We like to read it a lot. We like to pat ourselves on the back. And if we get any resistance, we fold. What's amazing about this the most is that the most of these guys were on the team last year. And that was a tough team. Last year's team was a tough team for us. We nearly got the same guys now, and then all of a sudden they're not tough. They're fat, dumb, happy, and entitled. This is a quote from Mike Leach last week about your Washington State Cougars. What do you have to say about that quote?
That's what I have to say. No, he's Mike Leach. He can do whatever he wants. That's why they pay him millions of dollars to come in. He's turned. I know all you Husky fans disagree, but he's turned Wazoo into a football school, 100%, and he's done miracles to that team. And
okay, but what do you think about the quote itself?
The quote itself, I guess you.
Is it accurate? Is it inaccurate?
It is accurate.
Is it mean?
It's mean, I guess, too, because there's a lot of people nowadays that are a bunch of. I don't want to say the bad word.
Fat, dumb,
there
entitled.
We'll go with that. how sensitive they are, but I don't see a problem in him saying that.
You mean people are very. They get offended easily. They're. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Now, who are these people? I don't know if it matters. I guess more my point is, what does it What will it do for the team? Will it impact the team positively or negatively? Obviously, you're not worried about the words that he said because it doesn't bother you because it's probably what you are feeling.
Correct.
How will his team respond to this?
Yeah, you would think. I want to say they'll respond positively, and it's going to motivate them. But if I'm wrong and they lose the rest of their games, then we may need to consider replacing Coach Leach at the end of the year.
Now I want to kind of go back to what you said. Talk about a generation a newer generation where they get offended easily. What if the players on that team mutiny because they're hurt, their feelings are hurt?
Oh my gosh. No,
it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, you're right. That's a great question. That's a great observation, great thought, great question. I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen,
would you have to get a new coach?
You would have to get a new coach, yeah. Goodbye, Coach Leach. It is what it is. Time for you to move on. But in a perfect world, this is going to inspire these kids, and they're going to say, F you, Coach Leach. We are better than this. We're going to go out and win. What are they, 3-2 right now? So they got 7 more games. They're going to go out and win 6 more games and go 9-3 or 9-4, whatever.
Get to a good bowl.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens.
All right, let's talk about an actual success story from Wazoo. Not too many of those. The quarterback of your Jacksonville Jaguars, the Mississippi's mustache, the man who stretches out in a jockstrap and nothing else, Gardner Minshew.
Wow, well said.
Your boy, Gardner Minshew, he exploded on the scene nationally as a replacement to Nick Foles for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's having a nice bit of fame coming his way.
He is. I'm happy for the guy. It's going to last another 6 to 8 weeks until Foles gets back, but Foles will be going back into the starting position.
Do you expect Minshew to just be a flash in the pan, or is this a situation where they've invested too much in Foles?
Right now, I would say a flash in the pan. I think he's going to wash up eventually. I mean, hopefully I'll eat crow here, and he'll lead this team to victory after victory, and Nick Foles will turn into the Wally Pipp of baseball or football.
Yeah. Well, one thing we learned about Nick Foles is he should never play outside the city of Philadelphia because it seems to never work out for him anywhere else. The stint that he had with the Rams didn't work. He was somewhere else, and it didn't work.
He was at the Denver too, wasn't he?
I think so. Something like that. Yeah, and now he's at Jacksonville, first game in, injury. He should stick with Philadelphia.
But I'm back to Minshew. I'm happy for the kid. That team isn't very talented, and if he can continue to do well, why not keep him there the rest of the year?
Would Minshew had made a difference, just in a hypothetical, had he been on this year's Cougars team?
No, I really don't think so.
It's not a quarterback issue. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just all defense and no leadership there.
Would a guy like Peyton Pallure or Hercules Mataafa have made a difference?
Peyton Pallure, absolutely 100%. Hercules, hard to say, but Peyton Pallure he's the bomb. Yeah,
it's kind of tough because you'd want some senior leadership that actually. It's not just senior leadership. You also have to have somebody that's good, too, right?
Exactly.
That can lead through example, if not words.
Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Felix Hernandez, the king. This was his last game last week, and what did you make of his? What did you make out of his final appearance?
I thought he pitched well enough. I mean, we know his career has gone downhill, and he toughed it out for almost 6 innings. Yeah, what's his face and left. Dylan Moore made a hell of a catch to save a few more runs, but he gave up only 3 runs, and great way to end his career in Seattle, in my opinion. Even though they lost, he pitched well enough.
Did you get a chance to see? I was at the game. Did you get a chance on TV to see the crowd there?
Yeah,
and the connection they had with Felix?
Yeah, that was awesome. And I mean, they showed him pointing to the crowd when he had the K, and then after the game when he went out there and took pictures with the fans.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't left when they pulled him. I was like, I'm done. I was mad enough having to give my money to the Mariners. They don't deserve my money.
No, they don't. But understood why you went.
Yeah, but I had to go for Felix. What are his chances of landing on a team next year?
I see somebody giving him a chance, probably as a fourth or fifth starter. They'll give him maybe a 1-year deal, but loaded with incentives. Maybe like a $3 million plus another $10 million in bonuses if he can reach them.
Yeah, and I get a little annoyed when people say, "Oh, he's done. He's absolutely done." You don't know if he's done.
You don't.
You really don't. I mean, there are teams. Let's take for example Detroit. Let's take for example, what's another terrible team? Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah.
Are you saying they wouldn't, like you said, $5 million, whatever? They wouldn't give him an opportunity to play? They would.
They would give him for sure, and just to bring someone into an organization like that, he'd be a huge influence on the younger kids on the team too.
And if you're rebuilding, you need bodies that can throw innings.
Exactly, and if he does well, maybe they'll trade him to a contender for a single A prospect at the trade deadline.
Yeah, so I get a little tired at people. I was watching the Seahawks game, and everybody was saying Felix is done. He might as well get some white shoes and move to Florida. But I don't know. Come on, let's not be ridiculous.
Exactly.
Okay, what's his legacy? Is he a Hall of Famer?
In the Seattle Mariners Hall of Fame, but not MLB, no.
How come?
I just don't think his stats prove maybe because he played on such a crappy team, he's not a Hall of Famer. Had he played on a better maybe like the Yankees or the Red Sox, there's a chance he could have Hall of Fame stats. He doesn't have the stats to get in the Hall of Fame.
Why is that relevant, though? It's not his fault that he's on a crappy team.
No, you're right. It isn't his fault, but that's how the voters vote. They want the 250 to 300 wins. Yeah, I know he's got.
Nobody gets 300 wins anymore.
They don't, but everybody up till this year when Mike Mussina got voted in has been 300 wins. It's been quite a while. Well,
they made some changes to get Edgar into the Hall of Fame. I'm hoping to make some changes in their mindset to get Felix into the game. It's not his fault he was on a crappy team. I would say there's probably 100 wins that were left on the table, because how many games did we watch where he lost 1-0?
Yeah.
Because this stupid baseball team that I've unfortunately watched and been rooting for 40 years, I have to sit there and watch them piss away basically Felix's entire career.
Do you think he's going to get some votes for the Hall of Fame?
If I had a vote, I'd put all my votes in for him in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But that's me. I don't have any influence there.
With that said, I mean, if he can sign on with somebody else for the next 5 years and put up some decent stats, my opinion might change.
All right, so we are here. There is going to be you said this is a scrimmage for Seattle U? Okay.
Yes.
Or tryout of some effect. We're going to be running off to that in a minute here. But I just want to ask you, we've been covering Seattle U for a couple of years now, basketball and baseball. And I really love working with these guys.
They're amazing. I mean, the kids, haven't gone to any of the basketball games, but I'm sure it's the same way. These kids on the baseball team are just friendly, outgoing. They all want that career. They want the goal to make the majors, obviously get drafted. They understand that the chances are slim, but the organization itself, Phil Mann, the director of baseball, they're all just, everybody's so nice to us.
We've seen several players from the WAC, the Seattle U plays in the WAC. We've seen several of them at the Everett Aqua Sox or other single A teams that play the Aqua Sox.
Correct.
We saw, I forget the name of the guy. There's a huge prospect from New Mexico State that traveled his way through Everett Memorial Stadium. Well, not Memorial Stadium. It's Funko Field now.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of fun to see some of these guys make it big. There's a Seattle U pitcher that actually pitched against him in Bannerwood. Oh, what's his name? Your favorite from last year. What's his name? Oh, I forgot his name now. Anyway, it's escaping me. But it's kind of neat. We do actually get to see some players that are going to make it to the next level.
Definitely.
Not a good year last year for Seattle U, though. They went 8-19. What happened?
A lot of young kids. They had about 13 freshmen that were on the ball club, and it was just a little bit of everything. One game would be the defense, one game they couldn't hit the ball, one game would be pitching. It's just they couldn't put it all together. But they're all returning this year, and I think things are looking up. They got a lot of young pitching. They all got experience last year. I guess I'm trying to say. I think you're going to see a big change this year.
Yeah, that previous year they actually were challenging for the WAC title, and it just kind of went downhill last year. All right, well, we got to get running here, and I just want to say thank you everybody out there for listening, and thank you Brian Soulman Solack for coming out here with me today in Factoria, Washington, to watch Seattle U begin anew.
There you go. Perfect. No, thank you. Follow us on Twitter, please.
Yeah, that's right. Check us out at Seattle Sports U on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook. Like us. And as well, check out all the great articles at SeattleSportsUnion.com. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a good day, guys.